devotees. All glories to the assembled
Hare
devotees.
Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Namo. Namaste Saraswati Devi Govini Pacharine Nevashesha Shanivadi Paschatade Shatarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, The Cosmic Manifestation, Chapter 7, Scheduled Incarnations, Text 48. Sajjanniyamya yatayo yamakarta hetim Jayu swaradiva nippana kanitramindra. Just a two-line shloka today. Sajjanniyamya yatayo yamakarta hetim Jayu swaradiva nippana kanitramindra. Sajjanniyamya yatayo yamakarta hetim Jayu swaradiva nippana kanitram indra. Everyone chant, please.
Sadhyanniyamya yatayo yamakarta hitim Jahyusvarad ivinipana kanitramindra.
Sadhriyanniyamya yatayo yamakarta hetim Jayu swaradiva nipana kanitramindra.
Sadhyanniyamya yatayo yamakarta hetim Sahyutswarad iva nipana kantram indra.
Hare Krishna. Satriyan niyama yatayo yama karta hetim jayu swarad ivo nipan anitram indraha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sadhyan niyamaya yato yama kartara hetim jayum sharada iva nipuna khanitram indriya. Hare Krishna.
Anyone else? Okay, word for word translation. Sajjyak, artificial mental speculation or meditation. Niyamya, controlling. Yataya, the mystics. Yamakarta team, the process of spiritual culture. Jayu, are giving up. Swarat, fully independent. Eva, as. Nipana, well. Kanitram, trouble for digging. Indra, the controlling demigod supplying rains. Translation. In such a transcendental state, there is no need of artificial control of the mind, mental speculation, or meditation as performed by the jnanis and yogis. One gives up such processes as the heavenly king Indra forgoes the trouble to dig a well. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. A poor man in want of water digs a well and undertakes the trouble of digging. Similarly, those who are poor in transcendental realization speculate on the mind or meditate by controlling the senses. but they do not know that such control of the senses and achievement of spiritual perfection are simultaneously made possible as soon as one is factually engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Supreme Person, the personality of Godhead. It is for this reason that the great liberated souls also desire to be associated in hearing and chanting the activities of the Lord. The example of Indra is very appropriate in this connection. King Indra of heaven is the controlling deity or demigod for arranging clouds and supplying rains in the universe. And as such, he does not have to take the trouble to dig a well for his personal water supply. For him, digging a well for a water supply is simply ludicrous. Similarly, those who are factually engaged in the loving service of the Lord have attained the ultimate goal of life, and for them there is no need of mental speculation to find out the true nature of God or his activities. Nor do such devotees have to meditate upon the imaginary or real identity of the Lord, because they are factually engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord's pure devotees have already achieved the results of mental speculation and meditation. The real perfection of life is therefore to be engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Sadran niyamya yatayo yamakarta hetim Jayu Swaradi Vanipana Kanitramindra. In such a transcendental state, there is no need of artificial control of the mind, mental speculation, or meditation as performed by the jnanis and yogis. One gives up such processes as the heavenly King Indra forgoes the trouble to dig a well. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschadade Shatarine. Hare Krishna, good morning everybody. All glories to all the Philadelphia devotees. It's great to be with you again. And I really, really love this verse. The point that is being made here is such a beautiful point. And a very important point. So, the first word is sajjan or sajyak. Prabhupada translates it as artificial mental speculation or meditation. This is one of Srila Prabhupada's what I call purportful translations. That's not a literal translation of the word sajyak. Sajya literally means that which accompanies something or that which combines with or absorbs into something is sajyak. So this verse is talking about those who are yatis, the renunciates. So this is what, so Prabhupada is explaining in his translation, what the yatis are absorbing their minds in. This artificial mental speculation or meditation. So that's sajyak. This is what the yatis are doing. They're absorbing themselves. This is their sadhana. This artificial mental speculation, this different kinds of meditation and mental speculation and twisting the mind, and for the yogis also twisting the body, and all these different things are the processes of the yatis. The yatis includes yogis, meditators, Brahmavadis, impersonalists, yogis, all these different types. And yati actually means someone who's like an ascetic, someone who has given up everything, someone who's an ascetic, who's renounced, who's undergoing austerities, who has no material possessions or facilities. Even in Sanskrit, yati is also refers to widows, because widows are also like that. They're also ascetics who have given up, those who have given up everything. And this is their process, this artificial mental jugglery, mental contortions is the process of these persons. And specifically in giving up, not just whimsically giving up, but this is also interesting. Niyamya yatayo yama karta hetum. That the yatis, they have their yama and their niyama. We all know yama and niyama. And especially not long ago in the second canto, there were discussions of yama and niyama by Shukadeva Goswami when he was discussing the yoga system. So that means the restrictions, the negative restrictions, you don't do this, you don't do this, you don't do this. And the positive restrictions, you must do this, you must do this, you must do this. And so the yama and niyama for the yati, how to be renounced, how to be an ascetic, how to be a sannyasi or a babaji or a renunciate, how to give everything up, how to meditate, how to agitate the mind or to quiet the mind or speculate with the mind. All of this is niyama, yama, karta, hetim. Karta means the activities or the behaviors. And this is interesting. Prabhupada says, karta hetim, he translates as spiritual culture. So karta hetim means the cause or the thing. Karta hetim is the thing that you're acting for. So in spiritual life, there's some goals. Generally for these persons, the yogis, they're interested in mystic powers. That's their hetu. That's their cause, their motivation for pursuing. And the meditators have some goal of controlling the mind. That's their hetu. The impersonalists want liberation or attainment of Brahman. That's their hetu. So yam and niyam karta hetum. They have some activities motivated by some cause, some hetu. And there's rules and regulations to do all these different things. And there's so many rules and regulations, unlimited rules and regulations, actually. But what's this verse saying? So nice that all these yatis, these renunciates of different types, who have all these rules and regulations, they're yatis. So that means they've given up everything. So these yatis, what should they do? Jayu. Jayu also means to give up. Prabhupada translates, let's see. Yeah, jayu are giving up. So those who have given up everything, they should give up all these artificial methods. They should give up these artificial rules and regulations. And again, as Prabhupada says, artificial mental speculation or meditation. All these things, though it's almost poetic, it's almost sarcastic, that you who have given up everything, you should give up this nonsense path of these artificial rules and regulations and mental speculation and impersonalism. You who have given up everything, give this up. Because when you give this up and you take to the path of devotional service, everything is automatically accomplished in the most perfect way, in the most natural way. So perfect that this very nice analogy is given in the verse that Lord Indra, if Indra wants some water, he doesn't have to dig a well. He's the master of all the water in creation, and he makes it go and flow and rain and pour anywhere he wants at any time. He doesn't need to dig a well. So similarly, the devotee has no need for this artificial mental speculating. What's the nature of God, controlling the mind? Or what's the other? In the winter, going in the river up to your neck in the cold water, and in the summer, surrounding yourself by burning hot coals in the summer. No need for any of that. Just by performing devotional service, as Prabhupada explains in the purport, all of this is taken care of so perfectly, so nicely. So very brilliantly put in this. So anyway, all of these other processes besides devotional service, they have some hetu, karta hetu, hetim is used in the verse. They have some motivation. And like I said, the yogis are motivated by mystic powers. The jnanis want to become renounced and control the mind. The Brahmavadis, the Mayavadis want to attain the impersonal Brahman. So they have these different goals, these different causes, which motivate their sadhana, which motivate their activities. And aside from that cause, they have some other activities their yama niyama kartahetum, which are different. They're different. Those things are different than the goal which they want to achieve. Therefore, the meditators, when the yogis, after doing their meditation and they get their mystic powers, then they can enjoy, and they don't have to do their meditation. Now they can enjoy like anything. And the Brahmavadis, they may study scripture, they may take a guru. In the Shankara mats in India, they even worship deities. But the conception is that, oh, but when you attain Brahman, you give all those things up. That means that their hetu, their cause, or their motivation for what they're trying to attain is different than the sadhana they're performing to do it. Therefore, that means these meditations or practices and their goal that they're trying to attain are different things. This is unnatural. In devotional service, though, the goal and the sadhana are the same thing. Prabhupada would often give the example of the mango, that even in the very beginning stage, devotional service is the green mango. And then when in the perfect stage, it's still a mango. It's not something different. And he also explained that the mango is so valuable that even the green mango, when you make achar or you make salad with it or you cook with it, is so wonderful that even the green mango is also valuable. And in devotional service, there's no distinction. Our process is to love Krishna, and our goal of that process is to love Krishna. One time someone asked Prabhupada about chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, what does chanting lead to? And Prabhupada said, chanting leads to chanting. So this is, for chanting, that is not that you chant and you get some benefit from your mantra and then you're done with your chanting. The chanting simply leads to more chanting. We're chanting our japa, we're serving in the temple. You go and you're cleaning in the temple. So it doesn't mean, oh, I'm cleaning in the temple, then when I attain perfect, I don't have to do it anymore. No, you go back to Godhead. And the queens in Dwarka, although they were big, powerful queens, they were happy to be sweeping and mopping and cleaning in the palaces of Krishna. And the gopis, they're cleaning, they're sweeping, they're cooking, they're washing. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, they're doing Gundicha Marjana, they're cleaning, they're sweeping. And it never ends. They're also, who is it? Maybe it was Shamananda. I can't remember now, actually. Maybe it was Shamananda Prabhu, who he was sweeping the courtyard in Vrindavan, where the Shamasundar temple is now. And in his meditation, he would enter into the actual Vrindavan pastimes with Krishna, and there he'd be a gopi, also sweeping the same courtyard. So the same activities are going on: cooking, cleaning, chanting, glorifying, associating with devotees, worshiping Krishna in the temple, and all those same exact things continue in the spiritual world. Therefore, only devotional service can be unmotivated, because all these other processes has some separate motivation and some separate activity. But only devotional service, the hetu, the cause, the motivation is exactly the same all throughout. Therefore, Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhaktir et hoksije. The sages asked, what's the best process of spiritual realization? So Savai pumsam paro dharmo, the highest dharma, the highest spiritual practice for all men at all times. Yato bhaktir et hoksije is devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ahaitukya pratiyata. It's a haituki. It has no cause. It has no hetu. And apratiyata, it has no break. It has no interruption. Pratihata means an obstruction. So apratiyata means it has no obstruction. It's unbroken, unlike the other processes, which are broken. They're broken, first of all, because they're so difficult and they're so unnatural that it's always breaking, just like Prabhupada said about the meditators. He said, I have seen these meditators before. They are simply sleeping and snoring. or the yogis who are always falling down from their austerities. They're meditating so intense, so long time meditating. And some Apsara walks by with her ankle bells tinkling. Finished. And even if they attain some perfection in it, because that sadhana was not their goal, they still give it up. But devotional service is never given up. Therefore, only devotional service can be ahaituki, ahetu. It has no separate motivating factor different from the performance of devotional service itself. And therefore, it's ahaituki. Therefore, it's apratiyata. And therefore, it's yenat masu prasidati. Only that can 100% perfectly satisfy the self. Because the other methods, even if they stick to their artificial sadhana, even if they attain perfection in that artificial sadhana, it does not satisfy the self. Therefore, patantito najita yusmarangraya. They'll fall down from that position of imagined perfection, imagined superiority. Patantito. How does that verse start? Yenye ravindaksha vimuktamanina. Twayastabhava avishuddha buddhaya. Because these processes are all artificial in this way, because of that, there's always going to be some element of avishuddha buddhaya, some contamination in the consciousness, because by nature, those other processes are imperfect. Only devotional service is perfect. Therefore, Genye Ravindaksha, because they're neglecting devotional service to the lotus feet of Krishna. To Krishna, Yenye Aravindaksha, who has eyes like blooming lotus petals. Twayasta bhava avishuddha buddhaya, in their contaminated consciousness and their position of imagined liberation, vimukta manina, within their mind, like Prabhupada says again, the artificial mental speculation. Within their mind, they're thinking, oh, I'm liberated. But patantito najita yusmarangraya, because they don't have regard, because they don't take shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna, they will definitely, without a doubt, fall down from that position of imagined superiority. So therefore, devotional service is the most perfect, actually the only perfect process. Just like Prabhupada also explained about the yoga ladder, that there's a yoga ladder, there's karma yoga, jnana yoga, and at the top is bhakti yoga. And he explains that really the goal is bhakti yoga. But if someone gets hung up on a particular rung of that ladder, then we say, oh, he's a karma yogi, he's a jnana yogi, he's a this or that yogi. But the real thing is bhakti yoga, which is the goal and perfection of all of them. Again, because it has no external cause, no external motivation, and no external sadhana that's different from the process of devotional service. Therefore, if someone's a yati, a non-devotee yati, they should give up all of that nonsense, simply wasting their time, and take up the process of devotional service. Because this is devotional service. It's swarat. It's completely independent of any other consideration, of any other limitation, material limitation, just like Mayavadis. Prabhupada explained, if you want to be a Mayavadi and you're not a sannyasi, then you're nothing. You have no standing in Mayavadi sadhana, in Mayavadi society, if you're not a sannyasi. But devotional service, whatever you are, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, because the process is the most pure and the most natural. And natural means natural for everyone, because everyone is spirit, soul. Everyone is part and parcel of Krishna. Our nature, Jiver Surupai Krishna Nityadas. This is our actual nature, is to be a devotee of Krishna, the servant of Krishna. So if we take the process that embraces that natural position, then this is the perfect process. If we embrace some other process which is separate from that natural position, that doesn't take that into account, or in the case of the Mayavadis, actually denies that constitutional position, then what hopes of success can you possibly have? But the devotee is the most fortunate. He doesn't have to do anything separate, just like Indra doesn't have to do anything separate for water. And just in the commentary, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives another example. He said, just like if someone's a poor man who is digging a ditch, if he somehow there comes upon some great wealth, he doesn't need to keep his shovel anymore. He doesn't need to go out digging ditches anymore. That's all taken care of. Or as Prabhupada would sometimes say, if you have $1 million, then your $1 problem, your $10 problem, your $1,000 problem is automatically taken care of. So simply doing devotional service, surrendering to Krishna, everything else is taken care of. Way better than the unnatural, piecemeal, artificially motivated practices of the different kinds of yatis. Another example Prabhupada gave, he said, the goldsmith has a hammer, and it's a little hammer. And when he's working on the gold, he's going tip, 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 tap, 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 little taps like that. And he said, but this blacksmith has a big hammer, a huge sledgehammer. And in one stroke, Prabhupada says, one stroke, it's taken care of. And the little hammers, tap, 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 tap. And after 3 million years, you might have made a little progress. But with devotional service, one stroke, surrender to Krishna, boom, everything taken care of. And the, what is it? Niyama yatayo yama karta hetum, that after millions and millions of lifetimes of that practice, even if you attain something, patantito najita yusmarangriya, you will fall down from that position of imagined superiority. So this is the beauty of devotional service. And 2 verses previous, this is also described in text 46. Let's see. Surrendered souls, even from groups leading sinful lives, such as women, the laborer class, the mountaineers and the Siberians, or even the birds and beasts, can also know about the science of Godhead and become liberated from the clutches of the illusory energy by surrendering unto the pure devotees of the Lord and by following in their footsteps in devotional service. So all these, in this verse, the word is papa jiva, sinful living entities. So whoever you may think are sinful living entities, like who are sinful living entities? Westerners, we're sinful living entities. Some people have a view, oh, women are sinful, papa yoni. Some people have a caste consciousness. Oh, Sudras are papa yoni. Some people have a racial conscious. Oh, black people or brown people are bad, or this people or that people are bad, or a religious distinction. Oh, this religion or that religion is bad. None of that matters. Prabhupada says you follow in the footsteps of the pure devotees and engage in devotional service to Krishna, and you very quickly, immediately even, come to the stage where you're engaged in Krishna's devotional service, and therefore everything taken care of. One stroke, everything taken care of. What a beautiful and wonderful situation and opportunity that is. In that verse also, what's the word? Ushruta dharanaye, that all these people are delivered, and ushruta dharanaye, what to speak of those who simply hear about Krishna, hear from Krishna, and hear from his authorized devotees. So what to speak of those persons? So those persons we are, or we should be that person, that we're so devoted hearing and chanting about Krishna. In today's purport again, let me see if I could quickly find that. It is for this reason that the great liberated souls also desire to be associated in hearing and chanting the activities of the Lord. And the example of Indra is very appropriate in this connection. So surrendering to Krishna begins with this hearing and chanting about the Lord. Shravanam Kirtanam. Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Koye Udoy. All the activities of devotional service purify us Shravanadi, beginning from hearing. So we hear from Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. We hear about Krishna in Srimad Bhagavatam. And we hear from Srila Prabhupada about Krishna and about the devotees and about the philosophy. And then we're like Indra, who doesn't need any separate source of water. Devotional, that simple one stroke of devotional service completely nourishes us, completely hydrates us, that we don't need to dig a well. We don't need to, go to the 7-Eleven for some Gatorade. We're fully hydrated. We're fully nourished by these acts of devotional service. And this nature of devotional service, this is why the very definition of pure devotional service is given in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and in Narada Pancharatra, that Anyabhilashita Shunyam Jnana Karmadhyanavartam. This is saying the same thing. That what's pure devotional service? Anyabhilashita Shunyam. You don't need all these other desires, all these other hetu, right? Hetu means the cause, and the cause means the motivation for the sadhaka to do something. You don't need those other causes. You don't need those other motivations. Anyabhilashita Shunyam, all your other desires, because desires is what makes us do everything. I desire money, so I go to work. I desire to use the bathroom, so I go to the bathroom. I desire to eat, so I cook. Or I desire some spiritual realization, so I'll meditate, I'll do yoga, I'll speculate, whatever. Or I want Krishna. My desire is Krishna, which is the natural desire for everyone. This is anyabhilashita shunyam, all other desires given up. Jnana, and specifically, jnana karmadhyanavartam, jnana karma adi. Today's verse is mainly talking about the process of the jnanis, the yatis, but also the karmis, the gross materialists, who simply want to enjoy their material body. The jnanis want to enjoy by agitating their mind in different ways, and the karmis want to enjoy by gratifying their senses. But both of these given up, ahaituki. No more are they a motivation in our life. Jnana karma dhyanavartam. This is our yama. Yama means the negative restrictions. So we also have yama and niyama. That our negative restriction is give up all those other secondary processes, give up all those other artificial processes, all those other ultimately useless processes, give them up. That's our yama. And we also have a niyama, a positive injunction. Anyabhilashita shinyam jnana karmadhyanavartam anukulyena krishnanu shilanam bhaktir uttamam. This is our positive injunction, that you engage in Krishna's service in a way that is directed by Krishna. Directed by Krishna means by Krishna's instruction, by the instruction of the Shastra, by the instruction of the spiritual master and the disciplic succession. That's Anu, and in a way that it's favorable to Krishna, not for ourselves, but for Krishna's pleasure. Anu kulyena, favorable. Anu kulyena krishnanu shilanam bhaktir uttamam. This is the topmost standard of devotional service. And this topmost standard of pure devotional service is available even to the neophyte, even to the sadhaka. It's available. The sadhaka may not be free of every single desire. He may not be fixed 100% all the time on only serving Krishna. I'm certainly not. But if we don't make these other things, jnana and karma and material desires, if we at least don't make that our motivation in life, then even if we're incomplete in other ways, we're on the path of perfection. And this is the path of pure devotional service. So we're performing devotional service. And I I certainly have material desires in my heart, but that is not my motivation for performing devotional service. That is pure devotional service in practice in the sadhana stage. And the other verse, also quoted by Srila Rupa Goswami, originally from Narada Pancharatra, I think, is Sarvopati vinir muktam, tat paratvaina nirmalam, rishikena rishikesh sevanam bhaktir uchate. And this is, he quotes both of these verses in a row in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and they're both saying exactly the same thing. He quotes them both for additional, the first verse is his composition, but he wanted something from the authorities also, so he quoted Narada Muni. Sarvo padi vinir muktam. You give up all of these artificial impositions on your actual nature, which of course is the same thing as anyabilashita shanyam. You're giving up all your other desires, all your other falsities, all your other motivations. Tat paratvaina nirmalam, and all those things separate from you that are nirmalam, that are like dirt or coverings, like dirt on the mirror of the mind, right? That are coverings on your actual nature, just like jnana karma dhyanavirtam. You give up those external things, those coverings. That's the negative. And what's the positive? Again, same thing. Rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhaktir uchate. Engage your senses in the service of Krishna, who is the master of the senses. This is sevanam bhaktir uchate. This is called devotional service. So this is the point of this verse. If we understand what devotional service is, then first of all, hearing how wonderful it is and how amazing it is and how natural it is, naturally we'll also be inspired to take it up. And when we do take it up, when we understand its nature, then we'll know how to do it in such a way that it'll be most efficacious, how to avoid being taken in by side issues, by speculations, by inventions. Prabhupada, one of Prabhupada's greatest fears, which he expressed many, many times, especially about the Westerners, he said, you Westerners always want to invent something new. Devotional service is so pure and so perfect and so natural. There's no need to invent anything new. We don't need to reinvent the wheel, as the saying goes. So we'll be inspired to take it up. We'll know how to take it up with, what is it? With one-pointedness. What's the verse in Bhagavad Gita? Mind fixed one-pointedly. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Vyavasayatmika buddhi.
Vyavasayatmika buddhi, kurunandana. With your mind fixed, one-pointed. That's how we do it. Because we could be one-pointed when we know that there's no other options. There's no other useful or helpful or beneficial alternatives, because devotional service itself accomplishes everything. That enables us to be one-pointed. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. If there's any questions or comments or discussion, we can do that now. Yes, Vishnu Gada Prabhu, please.
Thank you, Acharya Prabhu. So you mentioned about how Prabhupada often talked about not manufacturing.
Yes.
And you've been, in the Hare Krishna movement for a long time. Have you noticed anything, any one or two things that one might be cautioned about that might be in that realm? I don't, not to be too controversial, but just some things that you might have seen.
I'll say one thing that is supported by Prabhupada, but also is sort of a pet peeve of mine, I'll admit. And that is the way kirtan is performed. That Prabhupada had a style and a way of doing it. He said, basically, it should be just, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya and Hare Krishna. And if it's a function like, Mangal Artik, you chant the Mangal Artik prayer and Jai Shri Krishna and Hare Krishna. So adding too many different mantras and styles and songs and things like that, that's something that I think would be nice to do more like Prabhupada did. I wouldn't necessarily say any hard and fast rules need to be made. But there's a way that Prabhupada did things And kirtan is certainly one of them. And I personally like to see it done like that. So there's sometimes little inventiveness in kirtan. It's not always bad, but it's something to remember in that respect. That's just one item that I have a sort of pet peeve about. What about yourself? Do you have any
Oh, that sounds good to me. I agree with you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, which also brings up, there's Shastra conjunctions, and then also as followers of Prabhupada, there's also the way Prabhupada did things. And that's also evidence. That's also praman for us. That's also evidence that Prabhupada did like this, so we can also do like that. Whether it's kirtan or cooking or preaching or building or whatever.
Yes, yes. We were just reading in Chaitanya Charitamrita at the end of the Adi Leela, and Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he recapitulates all the chapters, the subject matter of the chapters in the various chapters of the Adi Leela. And then he says, because Srila Vyasadeva did that in Srimad Bhagavatam in the 12th canto.
Nice, yeah.
So it's not that Srila Vyasadeva instructed people, you must do this, but as you mentioned, he's following the example of Srila Vyasadeva, and so
Right.
that's very appropriate for those who are in the line of disciplic succession. Yeah.
Right. Nice example. Thank you. Anything else? Question or comment? Yes, Dronacharya Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Acharya Prabhu. Thank
Hare
you so
Krishna,
much
sir.
for a very nice class. I wanted to ask a question about the distinction between bhakti and the process of karma, the practice of yoga. Categorically, you made a nice point about how when one comes to bhakti, it is you've achieved so much more than you could have possibly achieved in these other processes. The example with the sledgehammer, the example of versus tapping away. So like I guess categorically, bhakti is so much more superior. But then sometimes we make the statement that, or we hear the statement that it's like when we start practicing the process of bhakti, it's like we've immediately come to the goal. And then while practicing bhakti, we may realize that we feel so far away from the goal, or that within the category of bhakti, there are so many other steps to get to the platform of pure devotional service or prema bhakti. So how, maybe not how to understand this, but how to not let our minds get misled that, well, we've started practicing the platform of bhakti, even though it may be superior to jnana and yoga, we still have a long, at least it appears as in these bodies, that we still have a long ways to go as far as purifying all our desires.
Right. Good question and good point. Here's one way to think about it. That at least when you're on the path of devotional service and, wherever we are on that path, at least if we know what the goal is, then at least we can be assured that we're on the correct road. Karma, jnana, those other things are separate roads that when done properly also eventually will merge into the bhakti road. But if we're already on the bhakti, superhighway, then at least we could take, I think that's a lot, something significant that we could really take comfort in, even if, okay, it may take years, it may take lifetimes, and my heart is still so contaminated. But at least if we remain on that highway, which is the direct, straight, broad, well-maintained, not like Philadelphia roads, a well-maintained highway to Krishna, then at least if we stay on that path, I think that's a great assurance and encouragement in itself, that at least to some degree will help balance out our despair or our negativity about how long we have to go or how contaminated we still are. And there's other things to say about that, but that's one point that I'll throw out now. That at least we know we're on the road, we're on the right road. And if we continue on that road, we will reach it. Is that helpful at all?
Yeah, no, thank you. That's makes a lot of sense. Thanks for
Hare Krishna, thank you. Anything else, question or comment? Okay. Hare Krishna, everybody. As always, it's a great pleasure to see and hear from everyone in Philadelphia. I hope everyone has a wonderful day. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Panchakalpatarubhyascha
Sindhubhya
Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Thank you.
Everyone have a wonderful day.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.